Hi, my name is Sophia, and today we're going to be talking about section 4.1 of the ACE International History textbook. What were the implications of the warlord era that affected China from 1916 to 1928? Let's go with the key terms. Pause if needed. Moving on. First, an introduction to the topic. In the mid-19th century, China faced both internal rebellions and external pressure from Western powers. This weakened the Qing imperial system, which eventually collapsed in 1912. The new Republic of China failed to maintain unity, and power fragmented across regions controlled by warlords. This instability set the foundation for prolonged conflict and civil war. At the same time, Japan saw China's weakness as both a threat and an opportunity. Japan had already strengthened its position through victories in earlier wars and territorial expansion. Although international agreements briefly limited its actions, Japan's long-term ambitions remained a serious concern. Now the key issues facing China before the warlord era. Qing rule had already been weakened by foreign influence and internal unrest. Defeats in the First Sino-Japanese War and the Russo-Japanese War exposed China's military weakness. And reform efforts were limited, and conservative leadership resisted change. The Boxer Rebellion showed rising nationalist anger against foreign influence, but ended in defeat, forcing China to pay heavy compensation. This further weakened the state and increased calls for reform and modernization. Reformers like Sun Yat-sen promoted republican ideas and sought to replace imperial rule with a modern government. Next, the end of the Qing dynasty and the 1911 revolution. After the death of Empress Cixi, political instability increased, and in 1911, uprisings spread across China, leading to the Xinhai Revolution. The Qing dynasty collapsed, and the Republic of China was declared in 1912. Sun Yat-sen became provisional leader, but real power shifted to Yuan Shikai, a military general who controlled the army. Yuan became president, marking the end of imperial rule, but not the beginning of true stability. Now, Yuan Shikai and the start of the warlord era. Yuan ruled as a dictator. He removed political opposition, dissolved the parliament, and concentrated power in his hands. His acceptance of Japan's 21 demands damaged his reputation. In 1915, he declared himself as an emperor, and this decision triggered widespread opposition. He was forced to step down and died in 1916. After his death, central authority collapsed. China fragmented into regions controlled by warlords. Military forces expanded rapidly, and warlords ruled based on personal power, not the national interest. This created instability, economic hardship, and exploitation of civilians. Some warlords attempted reforms, but most relied on force and corruption. China became divided between a weak government in Beijing and a rival nationalist government in the south led by Sun Yat-sen. Neither had full control. Warlords dominated most regions, preventing national unity. This ongoing instability increased support for new political ideas and movements aimed at reforming China. Now, the May 4th movement. Intellectuals and students damaged change, influenced by modern and Western ideas. The movement gained momentum after the Paris Peace Conference gave Shandong to Japan instead of returning it to China. Protests spread across the country. Workers joined strikes, and there were boycotts of foreign goods. The Chinese government was forced to respond by releasing arrested students and refusing to sign the treaty. The movement strengthened nationalism, encouraged modernization, and led to the rise of new political groups, including the Chinese Communist Party in 1921. Next, the growth of the KMT. The Kuomintang KMT grew from a collection of revolutionary groups into China's dominant political party in the early 20th century, notably winning a majority in his first national election of the 1913. The Chinese Communist Party began as a small group but gained support from the Soviet Union, as well it was communist. In 1923, the First United Front formed between the KMT and CCP to fight the warlords. Soviet support helped modernize the KMT, especially in military. The Whampoa Military Academy trained officers under Chiang Kai-shek. And Sun Yat-sen's three principles guided the KMT. First, nationalism, meaning the unity and independence, democracy, political reform and participation, and social reform, which included the improved conditions for workers and peasants. The KMT gained support due to its nationalist message and promise of stability, though internal division remained. And finally, on to the Northern Expedition. After Sun Yat-sen's death in 1925, Chiang Kai-shek became the main leader. He launched the Northern Expedition in 1926 to defeat the warlords and unify China. The campaign succeeded due to strong organization, military strength, and public support. By 1928, major cities were captured and the KMT government was internationally recognized. However, unity was incomplete. Warlords still held regional power, and division between KMT and CCP weakened long-term stability. And this is the timeline, and that's it.